Hi, I'm Jordan from PrimeTime Pickleball. Do you want to pin your opponents back at the baseline and keep them from getting to the non-volley zone? If you do, this video is just for you. Let's jump right in. Alright, so thanks for joining us in this video. Before we start, if you're not subscribed to this channel, hit that subscribe button and also hit that notification bell so that you can be notified every time we release a new video. So this video is on the forward shot step back drive, and this is a very efficient shot that players from low level players all the way to pro players use all the time, and this video is going to be very helpful to you, so let's dive right in.
Before we get started on the details about how to hit this shot, let's set the stage on when it applies. As Jordan said, we'll cover a specific type of fourth shot, and the fourth shot is always struck by the returning team. In a pickleball point, the serve is the first shot, the return is the second shot, following which the returning team advances to the net. Next comes the third shot, which is always struck by the serving team. In this particular instance, we are assuming that the third shot is a drop, and that is a very common scenario in pickleball. On the fourth shot, we often recommend that you take this shot as a volley, like this, because it takes time away from your opponents when you don't let the ball bounce, giving them less time to get all the way up to the non-volley zone line after their third shot. By doing this, you will often be able to force them to hit their next shot, which is the fifth shot, from the transition zone or even further back, which is good for you, since at that particular moment of the point, you are winning the ground war, because you are up at the net and they are further back. Yet, there are some key times under particular conditions that you may want to consider a step-back drive on the fourth shot, because it creates particular advantages for your team to do so under those conditions. We'll cover those conditions and advantages now. Number 1. If you see that their third shot drop has a relatively high arc, but you won't be able to reach it out of the air with a contact point above the net, then it may be a good idea to let it bounce, because chances are it will bounce relatively high and just kind of sit there nicely for you to hit more offensively than you could with a volley dink. The upside of the opportunity to hit more offensively than you could with a dink volley can often outweigh the downside of giving your opponents a little extra time. They will likely not even take advantage of closing the net with the extra time they have because they see their shot is high and could bounce in an attackable way for you. Number 2. If you see that the ball is coming in with a relatively flat trajectory as opposed to high and is going to land deeper in the kitchen right near your feet, and you'd have to hit it as a dink volley with a very low contact point or even as a half volley, then it could be to your advantage to scoot back quickly off the line and let that ball bounce in order to get a higher contact point after the bounce. Even though the contact point will be much further back, it's higher and the net is no longer right in your face as it would be with a low contact dink volley or half volley up at the line. You'll be able to hit the step back shot more offensively, especially if you have a good roll shot, also known as a topspin shot, in your arsenal.
As opposed if you were standing up at the line and volleying this ball, because you're stepping back and you're taking this ball at a high point and you're contacting it higher than it would be if you were volleying it, this is going to allow you to create a lot of topspin, hit a drive, and for that ball to dip down at your opponent's feet. All right, so now that you know the key advantages, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through the breakdown of this shot. All right, so number 1, the first thing that you wanna know about this is you have to have early preparation. All right, so you're here at the non-volley zone line, you notice that your opponent is going to hit that drop. All right, you always want to be ready for the drive, but you see that they're going to hit the drop so that you know it's a possibility that they could hit it really well, and you're going to be contacting the ball low here. So as you see them hit that drop, you're going to take the step back. Okay, so sometimes I do this, or sometimes I'll just step back and prepare. As you can see, I put my paddle back here right away, getting ready for the drive. Okay, and I drop my right foot back for a right-hander. All right, so tip number 2, I want to talk about the stance. Now, typically, when you are at the net, we are in an open stance. As you can see, my chest is facing the net, and it's parallel with the net. But because you are stepping back, you're dropping your paddle back and your right foot back, you are going to naturally drop into a closed stance, as you can see here, or a semi-open stance. So either is good, but as you drop your paddle and your right foot back, okay, you are going to get in this stance and you're loading your back leg and you have your knees bent and ready to hit that forward drive. All right, so the tip number 3 is your swing motion. Now you are setting up to hit a top spin, medium to fast pace drive at your opponent, okay? So as I drop my paddle right here, kind of by my right hip or my right knee, I'm going to be swinging upwards, and this is what creates that top spin motion, okay? So I'm starting down here and I'm going to swing through up to where my left shoulder is. So from here to here, okay? So this swing motion is what creates that top spin, and you are going to be in great position as you drop back, and you are also letting that ball come to its peak, and then you're going to hit that shot. All right, so the fourth thing that I want to mention is the target of your shot when you're hitting the shot. So remember, your opponent is hitting their third shot drop and coming in. So as I step back, I'm getting ready for that ball to bounce and for it to peak. And I am also keeping an eye on where my opponent is on the court. So depending where their feet are, that's kind of where their target is. That's where I'm going to try to hit the ball. So anywhere where their feet are, because they're gonna have to stop and split step as I'm hitting this ball, wherever they are coming through that transition zone, that's where I want to aim, either right at their feet or a foot or two in front, okay? In front of their feet. And what this is going to do is going to force them to have a low contact point. Okay, so like you can see there, I prepare early. Okay, I drop my paddle back and I'm loading my back leg, getting ready for this drive. All right, I'm in this semi-close or close stance. All right, and then I'm going to swing with that low to high motion, pushing up on the ball, and that's what creates that top spin. And as my opponent is coming in, I am aiming at their feet. All right, so I got to really keep my eye where my opponent is coming through that transitional zone. All right, so I hope these tips help. This is a shot that is really going to keep your opponents pinned back at least a little bit longer as they try to work their way through that transition zone. All right, so all the time, if you are always told to be at the net and lean in and try to take every ball out of the air, that's really good. But if your opponents are hitting great third shot drops that are descending into your non-volley zone and you constantly have to hit up on the ball, it's going to be really hard for you to hit an offensive shot. So this is a way to take what would have been a low contact ball, you're stepping back, letting the ball peak and letting it bounce, and then you can actually hit an offensive ball. Okay, so instead of hitting a defensive ball leaning in at the kitchen line. All right, so hopefully this video helps and you saw some good visuals. Thanks for watching us in this video, and we'll see you in the next one.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like.
Thanks so much for watching. For more free video lessons, please visit PrimetimePickleball.com. But before you head on over there, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you don't miss out on any future videos. Also, for PrimeTime Pickleball shirts like this and other great apparel, please visit PTPgear.com.